Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to Thank Fellow It's Friday. And to be honest with you, it's been a very busy week, so I'm very pleased it's Friday. I don't know about you. As always, we have the inimitable Jacquie Mount with us, and she's here today to run through everything that you might have missed, and apparently something she's missed also, but we're going to cover that later. Jacquie, hello. And
hello, everybody. Hi, nice to be back with you.
Good. So I think the best thing to do is you just fire away because I haven't got anything specific to say at the moment.
Okay. Well, it's been quite a quiet week this week. I haven't had an update from HMRC on anything to do with COVID-19 yet today, so I think there might come out later on, but there's certainly not very much has been going on this week. But I will go through what we have picked up. Firstly, looking at all the COVID-19 stuff. If you remember last week, we talked about a conversation I'd had with Terry Ram regarding the flat rate scheme and the reduced rate. Now, this week, HMRC have come out with the new flat rate scheme percentages and the date. So from Wednesday, I think the 15th it was, until the 31st of January, I think it is, we have the new flat rate scheme. So for example, catering establishments, so that's your cafes, coffee bars, etc., was 12.5%, is now down to 4.5% VAT. Pubs have gone from 6.5% to 1%, and hotels and bed and breakfast from 10.5% to 0 VAT. Now, I've been reading some of the forums and queries this week that have come through, and the one question I saw that was raised with any business who is in the first year of its flat rate scheme gets a further 1% reduction. And the question was, does that mean that pubs go down to 0 and hotels go down to -1%? I haven't yet seen the answer to that one. So if anything crops up, we'll let you know. But the reduced rates are out there, and they are now on the VAT notice that covers flat rate scheme. If you look at the list, which has got all the percentages on, you'll see where they've changed for the next period. Both rates are now being shown. I think that is all I've had on COVID-19. Oh, it's one more quick thing. The second SACE grant, I think, opens around about the middle of August, not the 1st of August. I think it's about the 14th or the 15th. So as soon as I've got confirmation of that date, I'll let you know, but I don't think it's the 1st anymore. A couple of things come out from HMRC generally this week. You may have seen this in the news because it was certainly in the papers yesterday. The government have asked the Office of Tax Simplification, and you remember we had their CEO in some weeks ago, Bill Dodds, I think his name is, was in talking some weeks ago about what his office does. And they have been asked, that's right, sorry, Bill Dodwell. The OTS has been asked to look into capital gains tax and looking at whether it can be simplified or not. And there's a lot going around in the press at the moment about that. There is a link into their site, and there is a survey. What they're trying to do in the interim, in the first instance, before they start to look at how to simplify it, is to look at people's general knowledge of capital gains tax as it is. Now, I didn't do it all. I did the first 3 or 4 screens. And I have to say, I have to bump my knowledge up on capital gains tax because there were a few questions there that I couldn't answer, that I wasn't quite sure about the answers. So if anybody's interested, wants to help out on that, then in the first instance, going to the Office of Tax Simplification and look at their survey on capital gains tax, and it might help you to know how much you know, and it will certainly help them to know what the general consensus of knowledge is, and then they will go and look at how to simplify it. Some emails came out, if you haven't seen them already, from HMRC this week, the general emails. HMRC are now starting to try to claw back some of the tax that they're owed. And there was an announcement this week that for anyone who has unpaid tax bills that hasn't already have an agreement to pay, they are going to start chasing this fairly urgently from now on. They do have to start getting a lot of this money back. And if they can't contact people, or if they can't come to a payment agreement, then they will start to get a little bit heavier on that. Email came out this morning about tax credits, and a lot of the tax credits are up for auto renewal, particularly if they're being sorted by an agent who has multiple tax credit clients. There's something in there, but the self-employed, it says, must still confirm their income by the 31st of July. It cannot be changed after that date to sort out their tax credits. And the last one that's come up is email from Companies House that the authentication codes to access clients' information, the authentication code has historically always gone to the registered office. That is now being sent to the home so that you can actually access your codes there. So that's all my list of new things that I've picked up this week. If anybody's seen anything that I've missed, drop a question in. And
Terry says 31st of January.
Oh, is it the 7th of January? Yeah, thanks, Terry. Terry's come back and said the reduction in VAT for hospitality finishes on the 7th, not the 31st.
And the 17th.
17th for says. Yeah, I knew it was the middle. Thank you, Terry. Terry Ram, as ever. Very helpful. Thanks for those, Terry. And oh yes, one technical query I got this week. I would mention the lady's name, but I have to say I can't remember who it was that I've spoken to. I've spoken to quite a few people this week. In a pub, if you buy a packet of crisps in a pub, does that count for reduced rate or standard rate? And she rang HMRC and she's actually had two different answers. But if you now look at that, if you've got something like that, this reduced rate VAT, if you are in a building where you can eat in, if you're buying eat-in food, then the reduced rate counts on both hot and cold food. So therefore crisps are reduced. However, if it's a takeaway, it's only hot food. So we jokingly said that if you go into a pub and buy a packet of crisps and you eat them in the pub, you pay 5% VAT. If you buy them and take them away, you pay 20% VAT. And we've also had a lot of discussions this week about how on earth you're going to cope with the bookkeeping on this, because the software isn't geared up to make the changes. That's a huge software change. You may have to do some manual alterations, manual adjustments to your accounts. How do the clients record it so that you can get the correct information in there? So if anybody's got anything else they want to look at that. Right, question in from Judith Siddle. Hi, Judith. Is the new low rate of VAT applied at the point of payment or the event date if deposits are taken for a future date? The answer is I'm not sure. If it's after the date, then I think after the 7th of January, then I think it will be full rate. Not quite sure at the moment, but at some stage, if the event takes place after the 7th of January, you're going to have to pay full VAT for it, I think. So I'll look into that one.
Jeff Busby Books. I received an email this week from HMRC with the title, Tell HMRC and Pay the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme Grant Back. Yeah, I don't think that's any inside information there, Steph. I think that's just what they're trying to do. They do believe that a lot of people will have claimed unnecessarily, whether intentionally or accidentally, and they are expecting us, I think, to come clean on this. And I mentioned, I think on Wednesday, could possibly be Monday, that we've seen now that HMRC is saying that if an advisor, in other words, yourselves, bookkeeper, accountant, whatever, has noted that there is an illegal payment being claimed, they are supposed to do something about it. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to say, oh, well, I just let them get on with it. They do the books, not me. I'm afraid you'll seem to be party to that. So you do need to be careful. And if any of you've got any doubts, I would give us a call and we'll put you through to somebody just to chat that one through. But don't get caught with that one. I've lowered the tone again, haven't I? I'm doing this all the time.
That's all right. Jeff's come in. Hi, Jeff. I calculated some money on the job retention scheme today. One sum was greater than the gross pay. I thought it would be wrong to claim more than was being paid, so claim the lower amount, which is less than HMRC said. That's probably something that needs looking into as to why the retention was higher. It could be to do with the amount that's how the reclaim is calculated on a daily basis. I think these reclaims are still fairly new under CJRS2, so we need to look into that. Jeff, if you want to go through some figures independently, bump us over an email and I'll look at it as soon as possible. Send it to member services for my attention, please, and I'll look into that for you, Jeff, and maybe I'll call you and we'll go through some figures.
Michael Stopford's come through on the Facebook chat saying, last week I asked a question about sole directors claiming the £1,000 bonus. Have you been able to get an answer on whether they would be eligible? I don't see why they should be, as the scheme is about staff job retention, but happy to be wrong.
Well, he who is in the know, the money man, says that you can, but that's not HMRC, that's Martin. It is for an employee. Ethically, it's a question of whether they should, because as a sole director, it's an ethical thing. And we've spoken about this before. I haven't had an answer back from HMRC yet. I have put the question up, but I haven't had an answer back yet.
It always seems a bit unfair to me that when you are a sole director of a company, you are expected to be a completely separate person to your company, except under certain circumstances, and then you're one and the same. And HMRC does seem to have the ability to switch between the two on that, and you can quite easily get caught out.
Oh, Jeff said it's all to do with overtime.
Mm.
Oh, right, because you're looking at the, that's an interesting one. Overtime and part furlough. Because if you're part furloughing, it's a question of how whether you're paying overtime and I need to see some figures, Jeff. So can you contact me on Monday and either give me a call through the office number on Monday and I'll talk it through with you if that's not too late.
Terry says, Garry, spelt incorrectly, Terry, but I'll forgive you that. I'll spell your name with one R as well into it. Just anyway, never mind. If it was one R, I'm sure it'd be Garry, but never mind. These ICB TV sessions have proved invaluable to us minions. And Terry, you are not a minion. Nobody's a minion in this organisation. Well, other than me, I do as I'm told.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'll back that.
Could I request you consider the Friday session continuing to be offered once things get back to normal, maybe even on a monthly basis? I'm sure members would appreciate it. Terry, we're looking at the whole thing at the moment, actually, and apart from the fact that I've got delusions of grandeur and actually love doing the thing, we're looking at bringing it back, well, continuing with 3, certainly, and possibly even bringing the 2 days back in between, because we're just looking at what it is people want to know, what bits of news we can discuss, and possibly making it more of a newsy type program. So we're looking at all sorts of things, but we're not rushing to take it away, I can assure you, because, you know, even on our quieter days and our sunny Fridays, etc., you know, we are getting 200 to 300 people tuning in, and as we've always said, every single member is important to us. So until we're sitting talking to ourselves, it's going to be there. You know, I love doing it, and you know, Jacquie is obviously shyer than me and she doesn't like it. I have to pull her out.
I really struggle with Friday afternoons, you know me, all of you.
Yeah. You know, so we are going to do it. I'm very pleased to think you enjoy it. But look, why don't you give us some ideas about what else you'd like to hear about? Because you know, we're trying to get a few members to come on here and talk. Actually, Terry, you ought to come on and talk. I got you on stage once. We're going to get you up here. So I'll get Sobi or somebody to contact you and see what's happening. Actually, Sobi normally anchors, but today we've got Alex as anchor because Sobi's on holiday. So Alex, those of you who followed Twitter, yesterday you'll know that in the Ukraine, all of our colleagues in Ukraine were celebrating Accountants and Auditors Day, and had a huge number of people saying congratulations, including June and myself, and we look as if we were a bit the worse for gin and tonics or something or other, but that was because it was a last minute effort. But Alex jumped on there and said, congratulations from everybody at ICB. So if you look at that, you'll know what Alex looks like. He didn't look at his best because he was getting bleached out by the sun a bit, but nonetheless, he's one of our new, young, raw recruits who looks after our social media, so that's good. But anyway.
I'm learning the ropes very quickly. The other, Terry, can I just say, my apologies to anybody who had a look at my flexible furlough calculator. I'm sorry, there was a bug in it. It has been fixed now. So if you've got the one that doesn't calculate the national insurance, then please download the new one again, because it should now work properly. Sorry, I picked up a rogue cell in there somewhere and it threw out one of the formulas, so my apologies.
Okay. So you're saying, so excited to be on board with Practice Ignition, and thanks to ICB, 6 months. And she's also training on Zero. I mean, well done, Faye. Now's the time to do it. Yeah, Practice Ignition, they're big friends with us at the moment, and I know that Trent was saying wonderful things about the ICB bookkeepers and everything the other day. And it's been very nice to have support from one of these big organisations, so that was great. Excuse me. Oh dear. And I also noticed that a lot of our members are now discussing IC benefits and how much benefit they get from it. Somebody was claiming they'd saved over £2,000 over the last 3 years, was it 2 years? And several people saying they're certainly covering the cost of their membership. So that's not the only reason for doing it, but nonetheless, it's a good one to have. If you don't know about IC benefits, if for any reason you're one of these people that have missed the emails and missed the prompts and missed the leaflets or whatever, get in touch with our head office, 0203 405 4000, and somebody there will tell you how to log on. But the benefits on everything, really, you know, money off at places like Sainsbury's and Asda, and I think Aldi was included in there. A lot of you buying holidays and getting 10-15% off some of those now. I think it was Chrissy Applin who said she got £50 off her tumble dryer or something like that she just bought, or something like that. So yeah, it's good stuff. You need to keep up with that. Your stuff?
Can I just come back to Jeff? I've just been reading your messages, Jeff, and I'm just wondering, this overtime, for those of you who might have missed the original question, Jeff was saying that he put a claim in under flexible furlough, and HMRC are calculating more to be reclaimed than is actually being paid. I'm wondering if the original calculation that you're basing your furloughed hours on includes some overtime that we calculated in the previous year, and now you're into actuals. It may be that they're only less than they would have done on the furlough. So with that and the furlough being based, it might mean a tweak with the figures, but we'll still chat next week, Jeff, on Monday. Give me a call.
One for Judith Siddle, Jackie, can you see that?
Similar issues, some with furlough pay. Average daily rate over 12 months was lower than 80% of their normal rate. HMRC advised I would be able to claim the 80% of daily rate in flexible furlough rather than the lower rate. Oh, this is interesting. I'll need to look into this, and maybe when I've gone through this with someone who's actually done the calculations, perhaps a couple of us get together and actually meet together and talk about this at some stage. If you're interested, I can set an online meeting up with you, because I think this one's going to crop up again and again. So if we consult this before the end of the month, when people start to put their calculations in on the 31st of July, it might enable other people to be helped. So yeah, we'll pursue that early next week, that one. Thank you both.
Now, I've got something here from Anonymous, just following me talking about IC benefits, and saying I can't get any benefits from IC because they're all UK based and I'm in Ireland. Actually, if you're in Northern Ireland, I understood you could get that, and I understood the parts of the Republic of Ireland also. But if you'll tell me which bit of, well, who you are and which bit of Ireland you're in, I'll follow that up. I mean, the other thing is that a lot of the benefits now are online. So I wonder if that, I can't, yeah. I'm not so sure about that one. Let me have a think. Our benefits, our offices in Australia, New Zealand, USA, Canada, they get a different list of benefits because obviously they don't have many Sainsbury's in North America, but they do get benefits. And I know in Australia, it's very, very popular. So if we missed a bit there and it should be available in the Republic of Ireland, we'll see what we can do. But so let me know, please, and then I can follow that one up. Judith Siddle's giving you the thumbs up. Oh, Laura Silius. Hi, I am near Dublin. Okay, Laura, I think our marketing department probably forgot to ask about that one. So I will look into that. I'll get somebody working on this. Well, immediately I get off today, I'll get it started. So we'll start that on Monday. Yeah, we should be doing something for you in Dublin. I'll check on that. And but I know you sometimes have the stores called something different down there, even if they're part of the same group. So, but we'll get you something, definitely. Well, thank you for that. That was great. Now, wait a minute. I've got somebody coming in on this side. It's this. It's this. Oh, Helen Wright. I cannot claim from Sainsbury's as they only offer for in-store purchases, not deliveries. Afraid I can't comment on that. I am absolutely sure you're right, but I will check with our people back at the office. I keep referring to them back at the office. They're actually not back at the office. They're still in their homes. So I'll refer to whichever office we're talking about. It's either South London or Blackpool or something like that. We'll find out. I'll find out for you. And we'll come back. So thank you, Helen, for that. Okay, that's one worth looking at. Actually, it's going off the tangent, but as this is Friday, we do tend to go off the tangent a bit. But I don't know if any of you caught the article that was on the BBC News site, which last week, and the headline was fertility rate, jaw-dropping global crash in children being born. I don't know if you've seen this, Jackie, but this is absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Apparently in 1950, the average woman gave birth to 4.7 children. By 2017, it came down to the figure that I've always known, which is 2.4, hence the television program, 2.4 children. They're saying now that by 2100, it'll be 1.7, which means that actually fewer people will be born and more people will be living beyond that.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is that some of the countries like Spain and Japan will have half the population by then. And the other very strange thing that, if you look at this, in 2017, there were 681 million under fives. And by 2100, they think that will have dropped to 401 million. But the over 80s, in 2017, there were 141 million. By 2100, they estimate 866 million. Which means somebody's going to have to pay a lot of tax to look after his elders. Unfortunately, well, I suppose fortunately, I'm not going to be around by 2100, I'm afraid, but unless something dramatic happens. But I think if I were to be around by then, they're probably thinking of giving me something in the milk at night to get rid of that. Rather a lot of people.
You'll be first, Gary. I'll get there before you. Actually, if you think about it, though, 1950 was the baby boomer era. And somebody must have got my mum's other three because I'm an only child. From that age, so yeah, somebody had an awful lot of kids to make up for my mum's missing three. But yeah, no, I read that as well, and
yeah. Well, I'm from a family of three, and we were always just kidding my youngest sister that she must be the 0.4. Anyway, but that was very mean. I know, but never mind. That's something we do. So great. So let's just have a look.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Following up on Sainsbury's, Judith's come back and said, I've used a Sainsbury's gift card bought from Rewards on an online shop. So it looks as though it might be able to be done, but online shop, but maybe not the food deliveries. I don't know.
I'm not sure you can do yeah, that's right. But I think if you buy a gift card, that might make it different. So instead of a discount card, you buy somebody
a gift card with
£20 gift card, and therefore you get your £1 or £2 off the top or something. That might work. I really do need to check with somebody who knows. I'm afraid I started off with vengeance with this when it first started, and I had about 35 different cards in my wallet. Things have moved on a little bit since then. And mine are still gathering dust in the wallet. I got so fed up with them, I didn't use them. But things, you can now do things on your phone. You don't need quite so many cards. You don't have to top up all of them in advance, and all sorts of things are changing. And I'm not sure of the figures for last year. I can get those because I sort of had this off the top of my head, really, and should have done more research. But I think in 2018, you spent over 2 million on that, and so got quite a lot of discount. By the way, ICB doesn't get anything back as a percentage of that, just so that you are aware. You're not lining our pockets with that. What we do get, hopefully, is happy members and members who've got an additional reason for being part of the world's largest bookkeeping organisation. And you're not just bookkeepers, you're not just ICB bookkeepers, you're ICB bookkeepers with discounts, so that's good.
And Judith's come back again. She said it was a top-up card, and they have codes to add at the checkout on shopping. So it might be worthwhile speaking to somebody about that, and we'll.
Yeah, I'll check into it, Jackie, because I'm honestly not sure.
And Suzanne has come back and said yes, she saw the article on the birth rates and things, and decided it was scary as well. So.
Yeah, most people when you first mention it, they look at it and they say it's complete nonsense, and then when you sit down and work it out, actually, it is frighteningly accurate. You imagine somewhere the size of Japan halving in size. I mean, what are they going to do with all the land and the houses? Oh, it's weird. Having said that, it is for good reasons, of course. It's because women are having more choice, and they're doing what they want to do, and you know, everything. So yeah, every bit of progress causes something else to go back the other way. Isn't that funny how life works? But never mind. Now, a couple of things that have cropped up this week, just to give you as an example of things which bookkeepers are coming across. We had one of our members, we were carrying an article about it. I don't think it's actually come out because we were a bit concerned that you might be able to figure out who it was. But one of our members got a brand new account with an American gentleman, and everything was going swimmingly. She did all the due diligence, she did everything for him, signed him up, then decided to Google him and found that he'd actually been thrown out of the United States for a huge fund fraud. So anyway, she's still continuing with him as a client. We've said that would be fine, but at least she knows that she's got to be more careful. And so, yeah, it just shows you Google can have its good side on occasions. But and the other one that we came across this week, I think I've already mentioned this because I tend to either mention things 2 or 3 times intentionally, or forget that I mentioned it the first time. But we had one of our members who said, I'm doing a self-assessment tax return and I'm not being allowed to see the personal bank account. Can I demand? And we said, yes, you can, because if you think that there might be some more income coming in. So in the end, the client had to show the bank account, and in that was a £45,000 payment, which missed the business by accident. So, you know, you've got to be careful with these clients. They're lovely people, but they do occasionally think they can bend the rules. So let's have a look. The number of questions seem to have jumped up.
I think I've covered most of them down to the last. Jeff's come back about Italy and Germany already have a demographic issue. So it's already happening there.
Copy the quote.
Right.
We've got some statistics for us. Yes.
Judith Siddle, Anonymous. Where are we?
I think we're at
thank
the bottom.
You. I love ICB TV, Laura. Excellent, Laura. Thank you very much. That's great. So we've got to find out.
I think the other ones I've mentioned. Jeff's just come back about the birth rate one with Italy and Germany already have a demographic issue.
What's that? Right, okay, it's all right. I'm getting some prompts here from some people. You might remember last week I said about anybody know a good film or a book or something or other, and I've had a few books, more books than anything else actually. So I think you're all bookies out there. You're all reading, and so that's good. I was just whizzing back down there to see something then. So serious. All right, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through here. Yeah, Laura, great. We need to do a lot more for Dublin. We've got quite a few members down in the Republic of Ireland, and we've got some great people down there working for us and training people up and getting them into membership. But we are going to be doing some big stuff. So I think the COVID put a little bit of a kibosh on it to a certain extent, but we are going to be doing some stuff. So look out for that. Right, Jacquie, anything cropping up at the moment, or on your list? Let's have a look.
I downloaded the flexible furlough account last Friday. Has it changed since then? Maggie, I'm not sure. You'll need to check. What the problem was apparently was the national insurance for July. When you put July, and it came up with an error in the calculation. So if that's coming up with an error, re-download it. If it doesn't, it may have changed since you downloaded it. Faye said, I did watch The Healer. I had seen it a long time ago. Your films.
What was that, sorry?
Sorry, Faye's come back. Hi, Faye. Said, I watched The Healer. I had seen it a long time ago.
But she said what she thought of the ending.
No, that's all she said.
Right, because the reason I said it was that at the very end of it, the director said, people have asked me if this is based on a true life story. And he said, sort of. He said it's based on Paul Newman. And those of you who don't know, the late Paul Newman, before he passed away, made a lot of money, obviously, from acting and various other things. So he set up a company called Newman Foods, Newman's Own. And he used to create foods, and every single penny of profit went straight back into a charity, the Newman's Own charity. And he built a camp in Connecticut for kids, and it was called the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, which is Hole in the Wall Gang, of course, those of you remember Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. And he gave free holidays for people with children with terminal illnesses. And myself and June, before we were banging the drum for bookkeepers, were banging a general PR drum, and we were very fortunate to have Paul Newman as one of our clients, and we've got pictures all over the place of us in Connecticut with him. And those of you who remember an interview that Paul Newman did with Michael Aspel, I think I've got a few of you on who are probably old enough just to remember that. June and I actually organised that because Paul Newman wouldn't come to the UK because he was busy, and Michael Aspel didn't want to go to the States, I think because he didn't like flying, but we managed to persuade him to go, and the interview took place. It was a bit of a stilted interview because they were a bit on air, and as soon as the camera stopped rolling, the two of them sat down, had a hell of a good chat, and really enjoyed themselves, and it's a shame that the cameras weren't still rolling. So that's one of my claims to fame, Paul Newman. Once Paul passed away, his eldest daughter took over, and there are now camps all the way around the world. I'm not sure how many now. I think it's probably a dozen or so. It's just a fantastic effort, and it all comes. So next time you go into the supermarket, you see Newman's Own popcorn or Newman's Own salad dressing or pasta sauce, etc. Profit just goes to Paul Newman's camps, and so it's a wonderful thing. So it's one of those tangents. It's a Friday tangent. But anyway, it's at the end of the film, it references that, and it shows you one of the camps. And the other thing about the Connecticut camp was every week without fail, apparently, Paul Newman used to go down and they used to sit around campfires and tell the kids scary stories. So, nice guy. Right. Where are we? Have I've got any more?
There is one on the chat line from, said some, it's going back to the benefits. Some discounts are applied by buying a gift card in store, online, or sometimes both. For example, with Currys, you can buy a £300 voucher for £279 to use online or in store, and other discounts include cashback. So,
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a bit of a hassle, but I mean, a saving is a saving, and some people do get things. And the other thing is that a lot of the time you'll get a saving on a sale price. You have to be careful what you get and what you don't. Yeah, I I went shopping last night and bought two packs of ham, which were 2 for £5 instead of something or other. They'd both been reduced to £2.95, and I got charged £2.95 for each, not the £5 cover. So I had a bit of a moan. Didn't do very well. Anyway, off the subject a little bit, but Faye, I have to say I did not know that about Paul Newman. I think you might have missed the end. It's just as the credits are coming up. There's a short interview with the director, and then you see this whole thing about Paul Newman, and he just regarded him as the healer. So that was the reason for it. Jackie says, Maggie, have you seen this? I downloaded the flexible furlough.
Yeah, yes, I've come back on that one. Yeah.
You've done one.
Just,
Okay.
it would be a good idea just to download it again if yours isn't working, if it comes up with a glitch. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, that's the other one on there. I think we're done on there.
We're done on all the questions. Oh, there's one here about booking. I booked and paid a week's holiday on a lodge before the reduction of VAT. Am I entitled to a refund on the difference? Many thanks, Anna. I don't know is the answer to that one, Anna.
I don't know that the government has actually made a decision. I think that's down to you putting pressure on the moral judgment of whoever it is who rented you the property, I think, isn't it, Jackie? I don't think they've come up yet and said you can have it back.
I think what they've said is they've reduced it from the 15th. I don't know. I don't think they've gone into the fine detail of yet about what happens if you paid it before and you're taking a holiday in the reduced period. I think the details are starting to come out, and I think we will hopefully have some more information on this coming up fairly soon. As is always, the little people that work in the back, and I don't mean little, I mean the people that work very hard in the background, are beavering away to try to catch up with the announcements that the government and the Chancellor makes, and then they all sit and they think, oh yes, we're going to have to rework that one through. I think that the devil's in the details, so it will come out soon. We'll try and get some more information. I'm sorry I haven't got much more for you this week, but
it's okay.
I was going to say, I sometimes think that once all these queries start to come in, I sent my email off to the agent forum last week about this flat rate scheme for hospitality. And 48 hours later, I got an answer back from the HMRC moderator that said that's actually a very good point. We are dealing with it, but we haven't dealt with it yet. So you sometimes wonder if they wait for people to scream at them and then sort it out. But and the figures were out on the Wednesday. So
yeah, it's one type of marketing they do. I remember a few years back, we were across at QuickBooks in America, and they were saying that they occasionally release a new product into a state and wait for the comeback. And if it's good, it is broad. If not, they go back to the drawing board and start again. So it's good when you can do that sort of thing. I'm afraid most things that we do come out of us immediately, and then we have to try and worry about it later. I've got some anonymous people here who sent me some books. And I'm not quite sure why you're anonymous, unless you think it says something about you. I'm really not sure. A Claxton Diary, Claxton Diary by Mark Cocker here, and the lady, actually I don't know who it is, the person who gave me this has certainly given me a quote from the Mail on Sunday saying, if you've never read Mark Cocker, then you must. His style is sharp, selfish and wonderfully evocative. His knowledge deep and wide-ranging, but lightly born, his curiosity joyful and infectious. For 17 years, as part of his daily writing routine, the author and naturalist Mark Cocker has taken a 2-mile walk down the river from his cottage on the edge of the Norfolk Broads National Park. Over the course of those 10,000 daily paces, he's learnt the art of patience and to observe a butterfly, a bird, flower bee, etc., and take pleasure in all the other inhabitants of his parish. I'm not quite sure what that book's about, but it sounds interesting. The other one is Out of Love by Hazel Hayes. Hayes' touching, bittersweet, and ultimately optimistic debut, Out of Love, deconstructs a relationship. I always found them hard enough to deconstruct, but anyway, never mind. Moving backwards from the breakup to the magical start. Beautifully lucid, raw and unflinching, this autopsy of a broken heart feels at once completely unique and universal. Well, that's going to brighten up your weekend, isn't it? But anyway, I want a business book here. Company of One by Paul Jarvis, a refreshing approach to entrepreneurship centered on staying small and avoiding growth, maximizing happiness, sustainability, and profitability. And actually, that's something we talked about on Wednesday when we had the advisory council on here, because some people have got large practices and some people have got small. Some people with small want to be big. And I have to say, occasionally, some people with large regret not being small. And some people don't. And again, just to reiterate, we're here for you, whatever size of practice you are. And actually, we have a growing number of people that are not in practice. We've got a lot of people now working inside factories and various other things and still forging big careers. And we had one lady recently who's been with us for, I think, about 12 years. She started off as a bookkeeper, a part-time bookkeeper, I think it was, then was taken inside as a bookkeeper. She then became the accountant, and she's now the finance director. But actually, her qualification is the ICB qualification, and she hasn't even done her level 4 yet. She was ringing me up and telling me that she's now going to do the level 4 because some of her company are furloughed, and she's got a little bit more time because they're not producing as much. So you can do wonderful things with ICB qualification, as Jackie, you well know.
Oh, absolutely. Couple of things just to mention. Anonymous has just come in. Our hospitality, etc. businesses definitely meant to be passing the VAT saving on to customers. I was wondering if it is down to their individual judgment on whether they will benefit from the VAT saving themselves by not changing their price, especially where only the gross price is stated, e.g. on restaurant menus. I wouldn't have expected that they would have to reprint all the menus to show the reduced pricing to reflect the VAT reduction. It's an ethical issue. Now, I've had a chat with, as I said, a number of members have rung in and this week and with technical queries on just this sort of thing about how to record the VAT. And I have to say, I spent a very pleasant 45 minutes chatting to one of our members this week about this entire situation. We were looking at how they're going to record it, how they're going to work it out, because the actual recalculation of this with the reduced VAT is not going to be easy either for the business owners who are calculating this. Are they going to reduce their prices? But if you add on this reduced VAT, don't forget that there is also a 50% discount on hot food and non-alcoholic drinks. And we were literally going through the process of working this out at the point of sale and then how to pass it on to our members who are going to deal with the books and the VAT returns. And what do you need to record? Do you record the gross amount? Do you record the reduced amount? And we decided you have to record the gross sales and the balance is going to be reclaimed back. But of course, your VAT return is still going to be included at mixed VAT rates. There's been a lot of press about whether restaurant owners are going to pass on the VAT reduction. And I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. HMRC are not into the ethics of what individuals do. They are into carrying out the Chancellor's instructions that VAT should be reduced to 5%. And nobody has said that this is obviously aimed at passing a reduction on to the members of the public. But it's not, as far as we can see, enshrined in any legislation that says they have to.
I don't think it, and I think some of the restaurants like, the takeaways, McDonald's and various other people have come out and boasted about the fact that it's all coming off the top of their prices.
Yeah.
Others have actually said that they're not reducing their prices, but that's to help the businesses stay in business and to make sure that staff get paid. So I think it's a PR stroke ethic judgment.
Yes, I think you're right. Before I move on, another member I've spoken to this week, this is definitely an ethical one, had picked up a new client, and I have to say, was very, very concerned about some of the things that the client told her, not the fact that the client is not bona fide, the client's perfectly bona fide, but is an IT consultant who does repairs and buys and sells software and that sort of thing. So an IT person. and has an accountant who'd actually advised them to split their business into two, one for sales and one for, and this is the sole trader, and one for the IT maintenance, to avoid having to register for VAT. Now, a member quite rightly said to the client, you can't do that because you're the same person as the sole trader. And after some investigations, the client has now asked her if she will take them right the way through to self-assessment returns and has dropped the accountant. So this goes back to what Gary's been saying on a number of occasions about be very careful what you were asked to do or told to do or instructed to do by your clients. And because it might not always be right.
No, and also be very careful if the we had one of our members said, well, I just told them to put it in writing and then I'm covered. No, you're not. The fact that they tell you to do a criminal act and you say, well, they told me to do it, as you know, whatever it was they were asking you to do, you're not covered. If you know something is wrong, you just don't do it. Even if a chartered accountant or certified accountant says to you, do this. If you believe it's wrong, I mean, check with us by all means, but please don't do anything and think you're going to get away with it because somebody sent you an email. Because if they told you to rob a shop in an email, you wouldn't do it. And I'm afraid it's the same theory.
Yes, and I've hit an interesting conundrum this week where I've been helping somebody out with some year-end stuff. And we've sent the accounts off to the accountant to do the year-end, and the accountant's come back with the amended trial balance. And I am currently in the situation of having decided that there are at least 3 errors in the accountant's amendments. And I've had to go back and say, look, I really think it should be this, not what you've done. And so again, if you're in that situation, it can be quite embarrassing going back to an accountant and saying, and querying what they've done. So it's an interesting one, that one. Judith's just come in. Judith's just come back. So the company I work for have not reduced prices to reflect the VAT. As they say, they would have had to have put up the prices with all the extra costs involved with the COVID measures put in place for them to open. So agree, because you're not going to get as many people in eating. You're not going to make your standard profits. Very difficult one, this one.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. Yeah, there was something else that cropped up then. I don't think you were going to see what I was about to show you, unfortunately, because I don't think you'll get that, will you? Oh, there we go. You might be able to see that. Guess who that is? You'd never think it, would you?
Oh, lovely.
Now, that's a very young-looking me in the middle, and equally lovely-looking Mrs. C on the edge there. And then, of course, that's Paul Newman, and that's when we were at his ranch. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this. I don't know how to do it at the moment. Somebody will help me. But just to prove I wasn't making it all up. Anyway. So
I have to say, Mrs. C is aging much better, Gary.
I know. Yeah, but it's shocking, isn't it, really?
It's a shame.
But 28th of July, here we are. I've got a couple of quick announcements to make about what's coming up on the...
yeah, while you do that, quick one from Carol Gibson. Hi, Carol. I had an accountant ask me if I agreed with his year-end adjustments. I love it.
That's great, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's fabulous.
Where are we? Hold on a minute. Yeah, no. Right, so just to let you know, we've got a few things coming up over the next week or so. I've got the head honcho from Satago on Wednesday talking about ways that you can do all sorts of things, and I'll be giving you some more information about that on Monday, and you'll get a full list of events and invites. So Satago should be of interest to you. That's a sort of combination of several apps all lumped into one, and it can help you get funding for your clients and loans and various other things as well. So I'll get you up to date with that. Sophie normally briefs me, and as she's off today, I haven't been briefed other than I know that's happening. I'm sure I've got it somewhere. I'll find it in a second. But where are we here? A lot of people saying they enjoyed the advisory council meeting the other day, put a bit of face to the name for various people, and we've had a couple of people already saying they're very interested in joining council. There are some vacancies. everything will be announced on the 1st of August, and you'll have until mid-September to put your name forward or get nominated, whichever that is going to be. So, if I can just run through these quickly, we have got Aberdeenshire meeting. That's on Monday at 5 o'clock. On Tuesday, actually the latest in the tax filer webinar series. This is about tax refunds. Now I know tax filer has been going down really well, so that's a good one. We've got then the practice ignition series, again number 4. This one is called the masterclass, so that always sounds interesting to me. That's also on the Tuesday. So tax fire at 10:30 and then practice ignition at 12. I mean, we are flooding you with info at the moment. There's a West Sussex branch webinar meeting, 27 already booked in for that. That's on the Wednesday, isn't it? 20th Wednesday. 20th, 21st, 22nd. Yeah, that's right. Wednesday. Also on the Wednesday, there's a Tyne and Wear branch meeting. And we've got 7 already booked for that one. Then on the 24th, so that's the Friday, isn't it? South Yorkshire webinar branch meeting. And that we've got some people booked for that already. Warwickshire branch meeting. That's on the 7th of August. So that's going into August. And just to let you know, on the 28th of July, June and I are doing a webinar for the people of the Northwest because they haven't had one up there for a little while. So we said that we would do that. So we're doing Cumbria and Lancashire on the 28th. And we're going to, we've got a couple of people then who said they would like to run branches up there, but they want us to get them kicked off. So we'll be talking to you about all things ICB. Look out for that. You can start booking for that. And then we're also going to do something to cover sort of Shropshire and the bits, Shropshire, North Wales, that sort of area as well. And yeah, I think it's hotting up at the moment. We had a figure the other day, and I'm off the top of my head, since lockdown, we've had over 18,000 attendees at webinars and meetings. Now, some of you coming several times, but I mean, 18,000. I mean, that is just incredible. That is some sort of engagement. I'm so proud of everything you're all doing to stay with us and stick with us. And, you know, you're obviously, presumably liking what we're doing, which is great. And I think this is this number 61 or something or other now we've done? I forget how many of these we've done, but still going strong. And life is changing a bit. And funny enough, I rushed here from all the way across from the room next door because we've been interviewing this morning on Zoom. Now that's different. And we had, I won't use his name, but we had one guy on this morning who was saying that he was very into basketball. And in my head, he was about 5'6" because he didn't look very big at all. So he said, no, I'm over 6 foot. So that's why he was playing basketball. So I actually was rude enough to ask him, but it seemed to go down okay. But it's surprisingly interesting. I think people are quite relaxed when they're being interviewed in their own home, or one lady was in her bedroom, another one was in the garden. But, you know, interesting. So just so that you know, 30th of July, Shropshire and Staffordshire. So that's the two extra dates. They're not up yet. They're going up shortly. So 28th of July, Cumbria, Lancashire. 30th of July, Shropshire and Staffordshire. And then we'll be delegating that to other people to run them on from there. The attendances are still going up and up and up on these things. So that's wonderful. And I've lost my thread a bit now. Never mind. Anyway, just to say, yeah, that's right. Interviewing on Zoom. Yeah, I think people are slightly less nervous when they're in their home surroundings, and I think we've got some more good candidates. So, again, we've not furloughed anybody here at ICB. We've been keeping people on. We've managed to twist Jacquie's arm to do a bit more for us, and various other people. Yeah, it's really going well out there. I have to say we are starting to buckle a little bit under the number of emails you're all sending. Which we are coping. We are working all the hours to get it done. And I do mean all the hours, so we will be doing that. And please, if you send an email through to us, don't send us another one in 5 or 6 minutes because we haven't responded yet. It's not that immediate. I mean, pick up the phone if you want to, and that's immediate. But the emails, we're sort of getting around to. But you shouldn't be delayed more than I don't know, 48 hours. Give us 48 hours just to be sure. We're trying to do it within a couple of hours, but we've been inundated. And also, as I suppose you would expect, so far since lockdown, we've had nearly 800 calls wanting technical advice and help. So I actually thought it might be more than that, but that's apparently what it is. But Junior's working at the moment on some graphics to show what we've been doing. Again, since lockdown, we've done over 6,600 exams. I mean, that's an amazing figure. And all it means is we've got a lot more people out there that are even more qualified than when we went into lockdown. So that's fantastic. And two of the big ones, payroll, self-assessment tax, because it's an additional one and it's something that people are going to want. Yeah, and just to give you an idea, on Monday of this week, I think it was, between 5 p.m. at night and 10 p.m. the same night, we had 110 emails. So obviously you go and enjoy yourself all day and work hard, and then you sit down at night and think, what can I do? I'll send an email to the Institute. So, I mean, it's good to get them, but obviously we won't see those until the following morning. So just give us a little bit of time to catch up with you on that. I think everybody's getting to technical advice. Jackie, you're getting a huge amount coming through to you. You probably had those.
Quite a lot, both emails and telephone message queries as well. So I'm here for most of them, but there are times when I'm not here. So I have said, if you want to speak to me and you can't get through, the girls in the office or whoever takes call in the office will send me an email and I will call you back as soon as I get home. So
yeah, it's fair enough. And the 790 something or whatever it was I mentioned, they were telephone inquiries. So yeah, we're getting the emails coming in as well.
Interestingly enough, Gary, going back to the time that people send things, I did notice that one of the exams that I was helping out with the other day was actually submitted for marking at 2:30 one morning. So I couldn't sleep.
Yeah, but I mean, Jackie, we've said for many years, the number of people who do exams on Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Boxing Day, everything. And also, every year we get a lot of people who do them whilst on holiday. I think they send the kids and the hubby or wife down to the swimming pool and they sit in their room and do their exam online. It's just amazing, really. And we think, oh, we've got a new member in, I don't know, Torremolinos or wherever they are nowadays. And it turns out to be not a new member at all. It's one of our English members on holiday. But it's great. That's the whole flexibility bit.
Talking of studying in exams, Gary, there is a message in from Judith. This is something I know that I think you ought to answer, because I know it's something you and I have discussed a number of times. I have a friend who wants to possibly join as a student. Is there a test to see what level they need to start studying at? Well, my answer to that is that if they haven't got exemptions, they'll need to start studying at the basic level to make sure that they've got the basics, which is currently our level 2 bookkeeping. And that is the basis of everything we do. So if they haven't got qualifications for exemption purposes or work experience for exemption purposes, they will have to start at paper A1 and work through to paper M8 without the exemptions.
Yeah, I mean, if they've been a bookkeeper for a long time, but they haven't got any qualification, I mean, it doesn't matter, I'm afraid. We need something to show competence, and some people get a bit miffed and say, well, I've been doing this for years. Yes, well, we know that, you may have been, but we don't know whether you've been doing it properly for years, so we do need that. And you'll need something.
It's interesting as well that over the number of years that we've been doing this now, we've had quite a few supposedly very well qualified accountants want to join ICB and become very miffed because they don't actually pass their membership entrance exam because they can't do double entry bookkeeping. Yeah, they do the high level stuff, but they don't do the basics, which is what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is different. You know, we always talk about doctors and nurses and all the rest of it, but we had somebody recently who kept failing our exams, and they disappeared, and they went and joined another organisation, did their exams, and then came back and said, can I use these as exemptions? And we said, well, no, because they said, but you say that you can have an exemption for these exams. And we said, yeah, but we know you're no good as far as ICB is concerned. I'm sorry, but we can't let you in. And he was very, very unhappy. But yeah, you know, if we let anybody in like that, it brings us all down, unfortunately. That's not to say that people who are very good at exams are necessarily very good at being bookkeepers, but you know.
Well, I have to say, Gary, as we know, I taught bookkeeping for many, many years. And then when I went out in practice, I realised how it was actually done. So I still speak to new members who are on their first job and looking at things, because it's not the same as when you're studying, but then it never will be, because you're going to have scenarios that crop up that you will never cover in your studies. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like learning to drive, isn't it? I remember I'd been driving for a little while, and I came around the corner one night and there was a lorry jackknife across the road sliding toward me on an icy road. They don't prepare you for that sort of thing, unfortunately. You know, you just have to do it as best you can, and that's exactly the same. Just had a note here from June just to say that the most popular time for exams, 6 a.m. in the morning.
When the brain's fresh.
When the brain's fresh and nobody's awake, and you just get on and do it, and various other things. And yeah, I mean, that's great. And funnily enough, one of the ladies who was being interviewed said, she did her degree, etc., etc. She said, but I was looking through the website to prepare myself. She says, I'm absolutely shocked to see that your pass mark on your level 4, she said, it's either 85 or 95%. She says, that sounds terrible. I said, well, that's how we make sure we've got good people doing this. And we found out a while ago that, well, you probably know this, Jackie, coming from education, but degrees are offered for various things. And we came across somebody a long time ago who said they got a basic degree. I said, well, is that, what's that, 2-1, 2-2? They said, no, it's just a basic degree. And we followed it up with the university, and they said, no, that means they've attended more than 60% of the lectures, but they didn't finish it. So you've got to be so careful. I think we're good. Well, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, we haven't got any more questions. Thank you, everyone. Again, oh, hang on, there's a quick one coming from Nikki. Hi, Nikki Hackenbig on the chat line. I have a client who hasn't been able to get their till adjusted in time to the 5% VAT rate. Do they therefore have to put through 20% in their VAT return? No, you're going to have to do some manual adjustments for the VAT return, I think, on your accounts. If the 20% is going through, you're going to have to make some manual adjustments until the time is, but no, you only put VAT through at 5% on.
So, Jackie, if you've got a receipt on there and it says you have actually charged at 20%, can you actually...
It's a difficult one, that one, if someone's asking for a VAT receipt, because, again, I think we've got to wait and see how this pans out, because a lot of the tills haven't been able to get adjusted in time. The software isn't adjusting in time, because obviously the software companies are not going to put lots of money into amending software for, well, actually it's going to be, what, 4 or 5 months. So it's a fairly lengthy time, but yeah.
Examples, obviously. But if you're giving out a receipt and you're saying you're charging 20%, are you having to say?
The problem is we're charging 20%. It's a question of whether you're giving a receipt to someone who presumably is going to claim it back, and if they think they're paying 20%, they're going to claim it back at 20%. But you could still put. I need to think about that one.
About that one. It's a good one, Nikki.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, that's one of these moral dilemmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of course your till is going to ring up the gross amount anyway. So if you then say, well, here we are, here's 15 pence back or something or other on your purchase, that's not going to work, is it? That's really weird. I don't know. We need to check on that one, Jackie. I tell you what, you bookkeepers, you are wonderful people. You don't have to come up with some unusual rate.
Tell me about it. Some of the queries I'm getting are way more complex than we ever had before. So I'm very, very impressed by a lot of the technical queries I get. Keeps me on my toes. I tell you, some of you do.
Yeah, there was I was invited to a webinar recently by another organisation, not a professional body, but another organisation, and there were a load of accountants on there. I nearly nodded off some of the silly questions they were asking, but nothing like the real deep dive stuff that we're being asked to comment on. Honestly, great, wow, all right. And yeah, we got in a long debate over accountants versus accountancy, and I was just thinking, oh, come on, guys, please move on a bit. But anyway, so Jackie, I think that's us done for the weekend. The sun is coming out. I gather it's going to be reasonably okay this weekend, isn't it? A nice bit of weather. Just check on that. What's it going to be? 26 on Saturday and partly sunny. So couple of cup finals and what have you to go on as well, or semis. So that'll be fun. Wait on, Nikki's back. Just before we say go.
Yeah. Talking about issuing a manual VAT receipt for 5% instead of giving you till receipts, as most people don't want receipts at the moment. I think that's,
yeah.
I was going to say, unless you can issue a manual receipt.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I mean, in most things nowadays, you do get the option of, do you want a receipt, do you not? I always say not particularly because I'm worried about somebody's fingerprints on it or something. Yeah. I'm more worried about the fact that it's a waste of paper and it just goes home with me and goes in the bin, so it's not worth it.
Well, unless it's going to be a reclaimable receipt for a business, then, you know, why would people want receipts necessarily? Unless you're Leslie and he can't remember what he spent sometimes, so he likes to have his bit of paper so he can keep his accounts straight. But I shouldn't really say that about him, should I?
The amount of times I go through my bank account and swear, but that's why I've been diddled and find out, oh, that's what that was. It's okay. Yeah. Anyway, right. Great to see you all. Thank you very much.
Great, everyone.
Of what's going on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. Obviously, thank Furlough, it's Friday. Chicago on Wednesday.
Oh, hang on, before you go, Gary, Steph Busby's just come back and said, and England are 378 for 5 against the West Indies, so it's a good day.
It's a good day. Oh, all right. That's the thing, yeah. Let's just, wait a minute. Let's have a look at Chicago. Right, I've been told. Great. Our guest on ICB TV next Wednesday is Sinead McHale, Chief Executive of Chicago. Chicago has a unique offering that is basically fluidly and chaser and invoice financing all rolled into one. They've built in risk insights alongside credit control, which apparently no other software currently does. So obviously that's the bit of the sales stuff, but so that's it. And so that's what's happening on Wednesday. Monday, I'm not sure at the moment, so keep an eye out. You'll get an invitation, hopefully early enough in the morning for you to still make it if you want to. If not, don't forget on the Facebook, it's downloadable at any stage, and also, of course, on YouTube. Great, Jackie. Thank you very much as always, and you have a good week. We'll see you soon.
We do. I'll be in touch.
Bye, everybody.
I'll speak to some of you during the week, I'm sure. Take care.
Okay. Bye.